picks up his sword, rides into the village, and I'm murdering everyone. I started making a gross meal at 22 years old. You want hard, like go to North Korea or some communist nation where you have no choice.
Yep. You eat what you kill.
New levels, new devils. I've gone through a business partnership split up, like an actual divorce. Fighting is so much easier than business. People don't know about your hidden, your reserve. You don't have the social media exposure. I am not scared. I have the sword in my hand at all times. Every black belt, every multi-millionaire was an amateur going through pain, going through process, knocking doors. You either put up with a busy man or you put up with a broke man. The right woman supports you and the wrong woman will destroy you. Really is no in between.
Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 3 of the Parker J. Smith Show, of course, featuring my co-host John Melillo and a very special guest today, Tristan Dlabik. Tristan went from a life insurance agency agent at the age of 18 to making over $1 million at 22, and now starting one of the fastest growing, he would hate if I said the fastest growing, but one of the fastest growing life insurance agencies in the whole country, maybe even the whole world. Tristan gives us his insight on the art of war in life and in business. We talk about building a relationship with a girlfriend or a significant other, and we also talk about the mindset that all truly ultra successful people have and that you need to get to the next level. So make sure you grab your popcorn, grab a soda, put your seatbelt on, buckle in, because this is going to be a great episode. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 3 of the Parker J. Smith Show, of course, featuring my co-host John Melillo, and today Tristan Dlabik. Tristan, super excited to have you here, man. We met both actually from the same area, from Chicagoland. Met was 2-3 years ago now, probably about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
On Tristan's podcast, which has now shot 1,000 episodes.
Feels like 1,000 episodes, maybe 1,000 gross, but 300 net.
Yeah. 300 net. I love that. So about 300 episodes. Then I think we scrolled back, man, scrolling trying to find it. We did find it. I think I was like 100 or something like that. But just really excited to have you here today. Excited to talk about what you've built thus far, what you're in the process of building now, and really your viewpoint on not just life, but business and money and success. It's very refreshing.
Yeah.
It's centered around you eat what you kill. And in the best way. I think that a lot of people, viewers, myself, everyone in the greater circle of the world today can use a little bit of that tough love today. So Tristan, I want to start by just giving you the opportunity to introduce yourself. Maybe give us a little bit of context about what field you work in, what you're currently working on, and then we'll kind of jump in from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in life insurance since I was 18 years old, and it's going on 8 years in September is when I first got into life insurance. So obviously my birthday month. And in addition to that, I think it was 4 years ago, I started my podcast. So that was November of 2021. And, or it'll come up on 4 years, obviously, this November. And prior to that, I was making content, I was building a brand. And, so for me, I always tell individuals, I have my brand. So I have the podcast and media company that's going to do probably over $500,000 in sales and monetization this year. And then we'll do well over $1 million of gross income through the insurance company. So I launched my own insurance. When you met me, I was 5 years, probably four or 5 years into building somebody else's insurance company.
Yeah, it was under, what was it? It was like AK Financial Adversity King.
Yeah, so that's all my branding, but ultimately, so the company I was associated with, and I don't think there would be any branding issues, would be Globe Life.
Yep,
so that was the company I was
I'm
working
familiar.
with. Yeah. So they're a captive insurance company and a great place to start and get practice. I send a lot of individuals there to, and you can make $1 million a year there. There's definitely a handful of people that
proved
do.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
You're showing your W-2.
1099. So it's I started making a gross mill at 22 years old, and I just, some people would label it as greed and ego, and then, I think some people, like the people that I like to be around, label it as, confidence and belief in more, and there's no reason that you can't strive to make hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. I think you don't become 100%. A billionaire 100 millionaire by, just being satisfied with making $1 million, a year. So that's what led me to where I'm at now, where, my, soon to be fiance and we started to game plan on exiting, quitting, resigning, whatever, from our captive company, and then building our own company. So, we hit the hit the marketplace on not looking for a place to go work, but searching, studying, analyzing how to generate leads. Because the biggest thing in any company is finding qualified humans that can buy your product or service. And we really wanted to prove that model out, that we could be self-sufficient and independent with generating our own leads in the insurance space. And it took literally probably 4 or 5 months, more so of Gally, like dialing the leads. I was recruiting and still running, my cash flow operation from the practice company to afford, her to be able to invest into leads. I'd take care of the house, life, and build the things on the side between the podcast and the insurance deal. And then once we got that mastered, we were like, yeah, let's get it started. And between some connections and the proof of production and results I built up through, the previous insurance company, we officially launched January 16th, and we just surpassed over $2 million, maybe $2.5 million in sales. So it's going really well. And a lot of people it sounds like it's quick success, but it's it's momentum that's been transplanted. Of course. I got 8 years of experience. You know what I mean? So it's like in between her 2 years of experience and her organization skills, like I was making fun of her. She's Jewish. I'm like, you're the Jew I needed, because I'm aggressive with investing and putting all the chips on the table and just saying, let's go all in. And she's more calculated and reserved on what to do, when to do it, how to do it. So.
Did you guys like meet in like a previous workplace and then?
Yeah, literally we met in the same insurance company, and just kind of hit it off very quickly, which it was just business goals alignment very quickly on like, hey, it was like, as a young man and making money, it's like I didn't lack access to women, and over the years I just continued to like raise my standards of like, I don't want just a pretty face, like I need a woman that's obviously beautiful, but more importantly aligns with my faith and beliefs, and most importantly to me is like I want to work forever, at least for right now. You know what I mean? So it's like I want to work and grow and build things forever, and that was vital for me. And most women will say, yeah, I'm down to work, I'm down to build, you do you, and I'll support. And then you get a couple years in and they're like, you're working too much. Yeah. You know what I mean? And just like driving you up a wall. And one thing I got from my old mentor is like the right woman will either support you and the wrong woman will destroy you. You know what I mean? And I think that's pretty vital. It's like you get, when you tell women too, it's like you either put up with a busy man or you put up with a broke man. Yeah. There really is no in between.
I love that, especially at our age.
1,000%.
You are either, there's very, very few human beings in their 20s who they're made, they're finished, they're done, job complete, and I can, just sit on my high horse now.
Yeah.
That's not where you are. You may be on your way.
Yeah.
Some of us are further along than others of us.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a stepping stool. Or you are someone who just really says, this is all I need. I need $2 million. I'll go live in the middle of nowhere, and I made my $2 million, and I live on this small thing, and that's what I want. I want a simple life. Yeah. I want simple things. I would say I'm somewhere in between you and that person.
Yeah.
Which I actually respect and admire the joy that you find in work.
Yes.
I don't like work. I really don't. Now, it doesn't matter what I like because I'm an adult, so I do what needs to be done. But in the way that you say, I want to work forever, I don't feel that way. And I'm like, hey, I've got these thresholds, I've got these targets. Yeah, it's going to take me time to get there. I know I've got 20 more years, 15 more years of hard work in front of me. But, for me, I have different goals and different objectives I'm trying to hit. I don't need $100 million, maybe 10, 15. Yeah.
What about inflation?
Ultimately, I trust in my ability to create something that will continue to make me money without working.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
So I'm still going to own a company. I'm still going to own a business. I'm not saying got 10 million, put it in the bank account, get my 4% a year, and I'm done. Yeah. But ultimately, my objective is how can I build an income stream that makes more than I spend without me working as soon as possible. Yes. That's where my focus is. Not necessarily on the $100 million exit. It's if my lifestyle and my ideal situation is me spending $50,000 a month, how quickly can I make a business that makes $50K a month without me working?
Yeah.
Because then it allows me the lever of time. I work when I want. No way I can just retire in 15 years and be satisfied.
Yeah.
But I don't love the game in the way of like, oh, I would want to work 50 hours a week if I didn't have the choice.
Yeah.
So, or if I did have the choice. So I actually find your perspective very refreshing, especially in a world today of online entrepreneurs where everything is pandered towards, well, do this because you don't have to work.
Yeah, no.
Choose my model because you can make a lot of money with no effort. And you're like, no, I want the effort. Give it to me, but I want to be rewarded, at scale, exponentially rewarded for the effort that I'm willing to put in that others won't.
Yeah. I got one guy in my life that owns a jet and a yacht, and I like to spend as much time as possible with him. And that's all he talks about is, you work, and like kind of like what you said, you kind of fall in love with the work, and the work that you do now isn't the work you'll have to do later. You know what I mean? So it's like the work I do now, 18-year-old Tristan would have dreamed of, in regard to like, this is how I make money now. Like I talk and I create content and I mentor, develop, and, bring people into the insurance company and teach them how to sell more insurance. And it's like, that does not compare to the thousands of doors I had to knock my first 2 years and the 200,000 miles I had to drive from door to door, house to house across the United States of America to sell life insurance. So it's like the work evolves as you evolve. And so it's like, it sounds cool, but like as I'm getting, I shouldn't say older because that would be the measurement of my success, but as I'm becoming more successful, the work is getting different. It's not as physically taxing, but it is like, as you want more, it's more emotionally and like soul taxing. You know what I mean? Like, have you been sued yet? Have you gone through a business partnership split up yet? Have you, there's just so much, there's no other way to put it, just shit that goes on. Like it's true what they say of like new levels, new devils. Like I've gone through a business partnership split up that was like an actual divorce.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of like, hey, lawyers, NDAs, can't say this, can't say that. Here's what you get, here's what I get. And you know what I mean? Then you go through breakups and all of these things in business. People, you lose people, you get stabbed in the back, you look at all your 1099s, you're like, where'd this money go? And it's like, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's life. So it's like, but I wouldn't go back to having to knock doors. You know what I mean? Like I would, but like, it's like, because we were like, man, like I think people on social media, like they over glamorify
100%.
like the work, you know what I mean? That's not, we're not working, you know what I mean? We're in America, so it's like, it can only get so hard here.
Yeah.
So it's like, you want hard, like go to North Korea or some communist nation where you have no choice.
Yep.
There's no reward, there's no vision, so
no,
it's all beautiful.
It's labor, it's work for survival.
Yeah.
Where this is work for excess, for pleasure, for leverage, for future success. Like, and you know what, when you reframe it like that way for me, I think I do agree. And I think that's something that I've actually missed the plot on a lot in my journey thus far.
Yeah.
I'm a few years behind you, but one of the biggest levers that I always missed was getting myself up to the next echelon of work. Was getting my time back from the mundane, getting off the phone, getting off the door knocking, getting off and getting to the next highest lever that I could spend my time on always has taken me too long to make those steps.
Yeah.
Or I feel like, and maybe this is just from an outside perspective, something that you didn't experience as much. I feel like for you, it was kind of got in, realized, okay, I could build the team under me. I could do this. Now I'm thinking of Tristan back in the days when I'm watching you in the tight suits, yelling at 18-year-olds at 7 a.m, in the office, like that's, but then from there, you climb the ranks quickly, then stagnated there for a little bit.
Yes.
And then realized, wait, there's a ceiling here where I could maybe make more money. Like if we just keep building, I'll make more.
Yes.
But it's not going to give me the leverage that I want. And that was your jumping off point where you're like, fuck this. At some point, I don't have the leverage that I want anymore.
Yeah, Parker is like a perfectionist. he, like, for example, his first home service business, he was on the phones, he's doing all the management, he's doing everything that he shouldn't be doing in the business at month 6, 7, because he's like, if I'm not doing this, we're not making as much money. I'm going to be losing turnover on providers, whatever the situation is. So like he's a very good business partner, but like one of his struggles is probably delegation.
It is, absolutely.
Like that's his.
I don't think yes, but like I don't think it's a horrible thing, because I think, again, online coaches and the social media world just creates this ideology of like you're gonna find your perfect replacement overnight. But I like, it would be amazing to find it in 6 days, 6 hours, 6 minutes. Maybe I shouldn't use the number 6 over and over again, but 7 days, 7 weeks, 7 months. But sometimes it takes 7 years. You know what I mean? And then you have a reset, and you got to find a new chief marketing officer, a new chief finance officer, or just new executives to help you delegate in the roles that you need to pull yourself out of and focus on like what's driving the most revenue. But what I like about like super entrepreneurs, when you think of like people that have just made massive impact and created companies that have like legitimately impacted the entire history of life, like an Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. And for example, like an Elon Musk is a hands-on, interactive individual with every department in most of his businesses. At least that's what he portrays. And even like being involved with the government now, he highlighted the office that he has in the White House or whatever. It's a very small office, and he's very interactive with all the departments. And it's to symbolize that real leadership and real evolution in building a impactful organization or organism, like a living thing, is being a relatable leader. I spent 2 years. I spent all of my years in sales studying leaders, because I have this like, I get like, I don't know what would be the perfect way to describe it, but I just become very obsessed with how can I create a legacy similar to like what we watch in the movies, like 300 and another one of my favorite movies is Troy, like Achilles. I name all my bulldogs after Greek mythology and things like that. But what I found I studied every president, watched an hour biography on every single one of them, and between reading and studying some of the world's greatest leaders, one I really liked was Alexander the Great, was the best leaders and the most impactful people in the world were not the smartest, they weren't the tallest, they weren't the shortest, they weren't the strongest. There was one common denominator, and it was relatability. And so sometimes when we over delegate and we try to put ourselves on this massive pedestal that we're above everybody, or we isolate ourselves, we almost end up hurting our company or our relationships more. That I've experienced, I've seen, but like not to take away from like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like if you're gonna build a multi-billion-dollar, restaurant, it's like you can't be the chef at every place. Yeah. We need chefs. You know what I mean? We need restaurant managers. We need, financial officers. We need individuals to handle these markets. But the best is that owner that comes in, just makes a burger right beside you. Yeah. You know what I mean? And just sweeps the floor right beside you. And it's like, I'm here with you. I'll bleed with you. I'll starve with you. I'll eat with you. And that relatability, bro, is like...
Why Barstool is so successful.
Bro, you literally, you know what I mean? You talk about like a Dave Portnoy. Yeah. These guys are like, people will sell this shit and they'll tell everybody like, humility, humility, humility. And these are the same people that you have to like schedule, like 5 minutes to talk to. And it's like, dude, I thought you don't even have a jet or a yacht. You know what I mean? I have to schedule to talk to you. Like, pick up the phone, bro. You're broke like me. You know what I mean? Like, you don't got a jet. I ain't scheduling shit. You know what I mean? So, but like humility is not displayed in what you put on social media. Humility is displayed on how you treat people when there are no cameras around. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and it's time for action. And it's time for like, how do you speak to me and how do you treat me? Regardless of you having a jet or you being homeless, like just be a good freaking human being. You know what I mean? With manners and respect and love. And let's try to get the most out of this time. So it's like, everyone's like, they love the buzzwords and the buzz phrases. What's the most ROI and like what's like the KPI and what's the ABC of this? Like, bro, just shut up and call the leads. You know what I mean? And just be a good human. Like, let's just sell the product or service, try to do the best we can, and stop looking for some fancy bullshit you saw on social media. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk, Tristan, about 18 to 22 for you.
Yeah.
So you start selling life insurance right away at 18. did you finish high school? You didn't go to college, I'm assuming, if you just went right into life insurance. And then let's just assume you either just got by high school or didn't finish high school. Out 22, you have $1 million 1099.
Yeah.
What does that feel like? What did that look like? Like, what was your emotional, like, were you just like, I'm the fucking man? Like, you know, and then you kind of humbled yourself down from there to who you are? Or was it you always kind of kept a more even keel?
You know, I grew up American poor, and I have to specify that because I've been around the world and seen what real poverty looks like. So you know, I grew up on food stamps, and you know, we couldn't eat out, you know, steakhouses. We hit like our celebration every year is like Texas Roadhouse once a year.
Love
something
it.
like that. So the bread is incredible.
the
Country
butter.
fried chicken, and we'll go smack Texas Roadhouse right now. Me and my sister. So like I have an appreciation for life because prior to my parents going to jail, we had some access to some money. You know, my parents made some white collar mistakes, and we had some access to some money and some, you know, good networks. And you know, my dad got me around super wealthy people, and he was always, you know, an entrepreneur. Sometimes operating in the gray, obviously, but you know, I had this perfect exposure of like money. I remember being on a private jet at, you know, 8 years old.
Damn.
To parents in prison, and now we're on food stamps. So like there was this like pendulum swing of like, oh man, you know what I mean? We're growing up living with our grandparents, but a couple months ago we were on PJs and eating steak every night. And so that drastic change definitely did some type of chemical, you know, destruction internally to me as a young man that made me into a psycho, but in a good way, you know what I mean? Because I knew I wanted to get it all back. And so when I first saw the million, I didn't see much of the money. So it was cool on paper. It was a cool flex. And that's what 99% of media is just a flex, is everybody's flexing this and flexing that. And then again, as I'm getting more and more exposed to like wealth, I'm talking like money that can make you disappear. You know what I mean? Like you piss me off today, no one sees you tomorrow. You know what I mean? I'm talking like wealth that like gives you goosebumps of like how, you know what I mean? Like phone number, like not phone number money. I'm talking like pie. You know what I mean? Like 3.1, like, you know what I mean? Like where it's like you couldn't
just keep going.
Yeah, it's like no idea on like how did you get this much money, and like people don't know about you. Like you're like hidden, you're reserved. You don't have the social media exposure as like the guy in Miami that's working at a sales company or as an online coach making $1 million, $2 million a year, and everybody thinks that guy's Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
No, Jeff Bezos is Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
That guy is making $1 million a year and hopefully, you know, paying some taxes and, you know, hopefully investing into something, because you know what you'll find with these sales guys like I was and these online coaches is there's no ownership of shit. Like, you know, people make fun of me for saying equity so much, but I'm just talking from pain points of I made $7+ million, you know, being in the sales world from 18 to 25 years old, and have, you know, the only, I guess, equity I could claim I have is the digital real estate with the brand that I built that makes me money now. But that ain't like, I can't sell it. You know what I mean? I could, hey, Parker, buy 10% of the digital real estate portfolio. I value it at $1 million, so give me 100,000. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I can monetize episodes and I can monetize services, but other than that, like, you know, these guys think they're king shit, but it's like, at the end of the day, you know, your brand falls apart, your sales team leaves, and you have nothing. You're cooked. So like the money, like I started to wake up at 22. You know, I met a guy named John Sarasani around 22, 23 years old.
We love John Sarasani, bro.
Yeah, so I met him at 22, 23, and he put me on game. You know, I showed him the 1099, and he started asking me questions that, as a kid, I wasn't thinking of, but now as I'm older, I think of them. But like, it's always the questions you want to avoid that you need to answer, and you need to answer them soon. Because he was like, "How much do you net? What's the partnership breakdown? What are the expenses going to? What do you own? Like, why is this 1099 so big and you have nothing to show?" Just
So
hard questions.
He sold a life insurance company too, right?
He sold a health insurance company.
health insurance,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like a private health insurance company. Gotcha. So
Yeah, I mean, it's that moment when you get asked what happens when the music stops. Essentially, it is the summation of that question. It's like, wow, you're the man, you know, made $1 million on paper. Now what happens when the music stops? And then it's easy to, when it's you and yourself in the mirror say, it's never going to stop. No, it's never, no, I'll just keep making more every year and I'll just keep doing this. And it's just, and at some point you have to face that elephant in the room of like, the show doesn't go on forever.
Yeah.
And then what? We had a very similar internal conversation 4 months ago. So around the same time. It was a quicker transition for us because of just the infrastructure was different. But right, we're selling a coaching program where we are helping people start home service businesses.
I respect this too, because I hate how people just start a coaching program but have no legitimate results.
Yeah.
Like it's a morning routine coaching program. So what are we selling, bro? You know what I mean? What business have you built? When guys will niche consult, I call it niche consulting. I think coaching has been just completely obliterated as a word, so it like destroys its actual like value.
Yeah.
Whereas like you guys have proven that you can
We always say we're about to enter a bear market in coaching or an
you guys have, but you've generated results that you can prove you can build a legitimate business model to make a livable income, if not more. I don't even. I hear there's great money in this, but like you're coaching on that. You're not like telling people like, hey, here's how to build an insurance business. Here's how I wouldn't be able to coach on the home services business. I have no idea how the hell it works. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so we were doing that, and it was great. What we realized was we had to keep finding new clients every day, every week, every month, right? At one point during our peak, we're bringing in $150,000 a month, and we're like, oh, this is awesome. And then we realized, wait a second, we need to go get 30 new clients next month, 30 new clients the month after that, the month after that. And we're like, at some point, we're going to have started 500, 1,000 home service businesses in the States. Okay, maybe it's not saturated there. Maybe we get to 5,000 businesses, and all to go around, we got $3 million to split up amongst ourselves. Then what?
Yeah.
Like, what happens then? The music stops.
Yeah.
We realize same thing. We have no equity. We have no ownership. We sell a one-time service, no back-end value, nothing to sell. No one would buy this company. This company is my face, John's face, and some sales reps. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? It's systems, it's information.
Yeah.
So we decided, okay, in January, let's work more closely with these consulting partners, with people who want to start these businesses, and let's own a portion of their company.
Yeah.
Every single company that exists now under our umbrella, we own 5 to 15% of.
Yeah.
Now, when there's 2,000, 5,000 companies, even 500 companies, we own equity in 500 companies.
Yeah.
That was our same kind of aha moment of like, the music stops eventually if it's just a one-time payment. Sure, we can make a good amount of money in the lead up to there, but then what are we left with?
I read a really good book called How to Make a Few $1 Billion, and it by Brad Jacobs, and it kind of emphasizes what you're talking about now with mergers and acquisitions and different strategies. There's really no other way to put it. It's like as you become a bigger fish, eat up the smaller fish. You know what I mean? And I think do it in like a nicer way, like don't destroy them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, unless they piss you off, then destroy them, and do it with pleasure. But if they're good business people and there's good alignment, then get equity, absorb or absorb the whole thing if you could. Like why just take 5%? What you could take 100%.
And that's exactly what we've done. We've essentially
do buyouts.
Set things up where we can buy them out at fair market value if we want.
What's the multiple look like?
It's 2.5 to 3 on EBITDA.
Okay.
So
that's if you sell one. If you had a portfolio,
if you have a portfolio, you get more
200.
leverage.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
Especially considering our 5% is completely non-contingent.
Yeah.
So someone could buy that and it's just cash flow. There's no responsibilities involved. Versus if you go buy 100% of a cleaning company, well, now your manager quits, your CEO, whatever, steps down. Now that's your problem to solve.
Yeah.
But if you own 5% of the company, we can sell our 5% as part of 500 companies, 5%, and it's just free cash flow.
Yeah.
That's it. It's completely non-contingent on any
That's sweet.
work or any effort or anything like that, because all the contingencies were fulfilled in the front 90 days, and then the equity is fully vested, non-dilutable, non-contingent. So it's the model we're working on right now. We've got 20 partners in climbing, and you know we're looking to get to 100 by the end of this year, maybe 300 to 500 by the end of next year, and really just go from there. And it was the same aha moment of like, we can get leverage with our experience, with what we know how to do, and do right by people, because ultimately this plan doesn't work if these businesses don't make money.
Yeah.
Right? Our 5% of nothing is nothing.
Yeah.
We need 5% of businesses that are netting 100K a year, 200K a year, 500K a year. And the people that come partner with us and consult with us, they're not looking to make $100 million.
Yeah.
Most of them are 40, 50, 60. They had a good career. They have some money. They're tired of working 40, 50 hours a week. They just want something to do. They want to make a little bit of extra income. They want to own a business and work for themselves instead of for somebody else.
Yeah.
This is the perfect model to do that. And so that's what we really leaned into, rather than selling a pipe dream, rather than pushing this on 18-year-old kids, 21-year-old kids of like, you could start this business and make $50,000 a month and blah, blah. Like, it's like, no, you can make $100K a year, $200K a year if you execute on this right, and it's not going to take up all of your time, and it doesn't cost you $1 million to start, and we'll cut the learning curve to nothing.
Yeah.
And that was it. And that was just simply from doing it 200 times.
Yeah.
We started 250 of them. It just took us 220 of them to decide to get equity.
So it took me 5-6 years. So,
Yeah.
but it's all good. Like Sarasani says, it's paid training. You know what I mean?
I love it.
All of it's entrepreneurial tuition. It's just some people figure out their tuition sooner than later.
Beautiful. Some people pay less.
Did you meet him at the casino? Or
You know what? We met in Chicago years ago. Like, he was just starting social media, and he's one of my first 100 episodes. So he may have been on like episode 50 or something like that. And then I went to one of his events, and he introduced me to Bob Menery, and it just was
he's off
all
the
downhill
rails.
from there.
All downhill from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, John, if you're seeing this, we need an episode with you. Other John and I
love him, bro.
Fucking love him, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
he'll do it for sure.
Partially in a just like straight comedic way. Like, he's just fucking laughs, bro. Like,
Yeah.
half of the what's the
Gen Pop Jake,
Gen Pop
baby.
Jake. Like,
Yeah.
we love all this, all the lore and the family and all that shit. But I mean, the man knows what he's talking about.
Yes, you can just
Like,
you just
you
can
know
tell.
that.
Yeah, and it's crazy because guys like that could have 10,000 Lamborghinis, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, he has fun with the gambling, but that dude's calculated, bro.
Oh, yeah.
He's calculated. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Like, you don't make the moves, and especially with how he did it, you don't make moves like that and not be calculated, not be disciplined.
Yeah, he's a killer.
Yeah.
And that is actually one of the things that I admire about you so much, even from an outside perspective. I recently have been looking into, only as of like a month ago, and right now I'm just, call it whatever you want. I'm being lazy about it. I've had a busy schedule, but I really want to start getting into some type of combat sport, some type of jujitsu or some type of something. And I know this is something like you live and breathe. And I think it's very resemblant of entrepreneurship.
Oh my God, it
and
is.
capitalism.
Yeah.
And you said off camera, or maybe it was right when we just first started, but that it's a battle. It's a war, man.
Yeah.
Like, life is a battle.
Yeah.
And you can either bitch about it, or you can put the gloves on, get in the ring, and get ready to fight.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Those are the only two options.
Yeah. I think, and my fighter friends will get probably pissed, but fighting is so much easier than business. You know what I mean? Like, fighting, we know, how to handle that. Like, I'm going to get punched in the face, and then I'm going to punch you in the face, and maybe we take it to the ground, and I'm going to try to choke you out, and you're going to try to choke me out, and, someone's going to go to sleep or go out, and then we're going to wake up and shake hands and give each other a big hug and have this euphoric, this like love-like moment from going to war with one another like men. Business, we were on a mentorship call this morning with the, our guy with the yacht and jet, and he was like, he had made a reference to when he had got caught up in some trouble as a kid, and the guy was like, I don't know what the dude's name was, but some legal guy was like, hey, you'll beat the case, but you won't beat the ride. And then one of the other guys had said, like, that's entrepreneurship. Like, you're gonna win pretty much every battle, because failure is just you quitting and just refusing to try again. But you're not gonna beat the ride. And the ride is lawsuits, loss of money, it's breakups, it's split ups, it's not seeing eye to eye, and it's taxes and just paying that tuition, that entrepreneurial tuition, that Uncle Sam tuition, and the taxation, and just tuition, man. And like that ride is just different, especially like competition in the business world. You don't know, like sometimes these guys are moving, in the shadows, and they just want to like gut your village, like ruthless, like assassins, and just come in there and take everything, steal your people and steal your systems, whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like you really can't prepare much for that. So like I think the fighting just kind of helps you prepare mentally of like, you can get punched in the face, just get back up.
And the fighting, I think the simplicity of it is beautiful. Like you said, you know your enemy, you know that they want to destroy you.
Yeah.
You want to destroy them, and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And it's not even the same outcome every time. It's not mathematical. It's spiritual. It's a sense of your being. It's something. I have never been in a contact sport. God bless my mom. Love you. But I mean, I couldn't even like play tackle football. Like, it was like
Soccer's a little, you guys slide tackle.
He's a goalie.
He's
just chilling back.
Yeah.
We had physical moments, and like I got concussions. I broke my arm. I
it's
broke my
physical
leg.
interaction.
I had my moments, but it was not a sport designed for violence.
Yeah.
Right. And violence is not something that I fear, but it's also not something that I feel equipped for.
Yeah.
And that has always been, I've felt a healthy respect for the unknown elements of fighting and of violence. It's that idea of like, you start a fight with the wrong guy at the bar, and this guy knows how to fucking fight. And it doesn't matter how big you are, how strong you are, how tough you are, how right you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
What matters is that he knows how to kill and you don't know how to survive in that moment.
Yeah, well, there is an undefeated martial art, and that is Glock Jitsu. So
That is fair.
yeah,
That is fair.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
No, but I completely agree, and I think a lot of men, myself, it's like I pride myself in fighting, and I'm an amateur amongst amateurs, but it's like you just get in the ring and you get better every single day and every single week, and you lose a lot, and you kind of look up years down the road and realize I'm not losing as much, and put your head back down and go a couple more years, and you're like, I'm losing a little less, and you put your head back down and go a little longer, and next thing you know, you're a decade in, and you've got, in the business world, you got millions of dollars, or in the fighting world, you got a black belt, and it's like, man, I really don't lose that much anymore. I'll lose here and there, but I'm a winner. But the hardest belt, they say in jiu-jitsu is the white belt, because it's the one that symbolizes you started. Yeah. And every black belt, every multimillionaire was an amateur, going through pain, going through the process, knocking doors, making dials, creating systems, figuring out they had no equity, figuring out they lost this and lost that, and then fighting, like, you know what I mean? Like you just start and you feel slow and you feel stupid and you don't know anything. You just keep showing up and you keep showing up, and a decade goes by and you got that black belt, and that black belt's just symbolism of your white belt that never quit. That's all it is.
It's beautiful, man. Are you now, with where you are in life, are you in the life insurance game? As somebody who knows nothing about the life insurance game, are you in the life insurance game because it's what you know, or is it like if you could go anywhere now, you're sticking there?
It's a great question. It's a combination of, it's what I know. I've honed this craft, over 8 years. So you could again symbolize that to fighting of like, man, I'm damn near a black belt in the life insurance space. For me to go, for us to go from, zero, we brought a handful of people, maybe 2-3 individuals, and we started actually with an original 7, January 16th, to doing $500,000 just this month in sales. Is I wouldn't say unheard of. It's not like, we changed the world, and everybody always says they have the best, it's like the world's best coffee. It's like,
what does that mean?
Yeah, do you have the world's best coffee, bro? You know what I mean? So it's like we could be like the world's fastest growing insurance. Like, no, bro, but we're shaking and moving. So it's a combination of, one, I have this craft I've developed. Why would I restart? That's kind of like that shiny object syndrome. It's like me being like, damn, man, it looks cool over there with what Parker's doing. Cleaning businesses sound funner than death insurance. And it's like, maybe I should just go get 5% of everybody's cleaning business because I'll just use my personal brand and all that. It's like, I have 8 years of life insurance knowledge. And what I tell people is the best script and the best persuasion skill is product knowledge. I've got 8 years of product knowledge. You know what I mean? So it's like you've got years, I would imagine, or at least a year or two of product knowledge in your space. Of you just know certain lingo, you know certain things on how to make that machine operate. So it's like transplanting to something else because it's shiny and it looks amazing is stupid. You know what I mean? There's no other way to put it. So it's that, and it's just a proven place for us to have a couple $100 million exit because that's what we've seen happen before.
Yeah.
So there's no reason we shouldn't be able to do that, if not more.
Did you model anyone? Because I know Patrick Bet-David.
Yeah.
His insurance company didn't like the 1% of the 1% also have like some small equity.
Yeah. So yeah, we have a, I respect Patrick a lot, and we've got to meet twice. He probably doesn't recall as much as I do, but we just I've been able to attend some of his events and get some small time with him as well. We just kind of analyze our business model and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, it's very similar, but at the same time, it's us. You know what I mean? Like what made him is what made PHP, and what makes me is obviously the discriminator of like, here's why our value is going to be different than their value. And like, I'm a big believer in that. Like I'll take things from others, but I want to make it my own. That way it's authentic. Cause I feel like without authenticity, you're just kind of a weirdo and people can pick up on that. And it's like, I strongly believe in that.
100%.
I think the most interesting thing to me about the life insurance industry is really how low the barrier to entry is. And I would say,
I heard you on that, bro.
Yeah, I heard you on the phone before we even got on here, and you're basically, whoever you were talking to, I felt bad for him on the other end of the line. You were like, dude, I'm not trying to work with startups. I'm not trying to work with a brand new, somebody who I got to teach how to wipe their ass and what? Like, I'm looking for somebody who's already a killer and to take them to the next level, to reward them, to incentivize them properly because of, I'm assuming, where your business is at in the life cycle, your skill set, all of these things. And that to me, like, that's the worst part about home services.
Yeah, it'd be like, I came to you right now, I was like, hey, I want to get into home services. You're going to probably propose to me, sure, get into home services, but I'm taking 30% equity. You know what I mean? Like, I would imagine it's the guy that comes to you that's doing $500,000, $1 million a year and just really relates to what you're doing, loves your vision. Then you're having more of a conversation on, we're taking 2.5%, 5%, 7%.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Yep. Whereas like the more work you have to do, the more it has to make sense for you. So it's like the same for me. And I spent 5-6 years in a model that specialized in taking potatoes, you know what I mean? Like basically just human beings, like I guess I was, 18 years old with no knowledge, no wisdom, and raising them from infancy to how to sell, what's whole life versus term life, how to structure these plans in a sense. With life insurance, it's pretty simple. But like what to say, what not to say, and when to say it, and all these different things. And it's like, now I've realized, and you kind of grow up in that model, and every model is defensive of like, well, the reason we don't do this. And it's like, these models that focus on these newbies and like these potatoes and just hire anybody and everybody in that low barrier to entry, their wealth is built off mass recruiting. You know what I mean? So it's like, no shame to the game. I did it. I mastered it and everything like that. But what I started to realize is like the guys that get super wealthy, it's just high standards everywhere. It's high standards, and I'm going to acquire your business. You know what I mean? So it's like, why would I go spend time and money building something from scratch when I can go scout talent and I'm going to pay you more? And then guys were like, what if somebody does that to you? It's war, dog. The best man wins. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not here to fucking play ballet. I want to go to war, and I want to take over everything. You know what I mean? So it's like, and our biggest value proposition is we cut out our mantra is no titles, no trips, no trophies, just cash. Because why does everyone get into sales? You know what I mean? If you're here for culture, go to Chuck E. Cheese. You know what I mean? Like, so, and it's like, that's one thing I used to push hard. It's like, hey, well, we have leadership mentorship Wednesdays. And it's like, I started to realize I was just creating this makeup disguise of our limitations as a company, as products, as resources. And I had to create that makeup to deceive people into selling more and deceive myself into like, just keep thugging it out. You know what I mean? And these potatoes won't wake up and realize it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, just king potato officer, you know? So it's like, you just kind of wake up and realize, bro, like, if you're going to like make an impact and just be like a good person, you just kind of realize this is elementary school. If you want to stay here with the kids forever, that's fine. But just like school, you go to the next level.
Yep.
Yeah.
You go to the next level, and eventually you graduate and you go out into the big world. You know what I mean? So it's like some people love the fish tank because it's safe and someone will come clean it for you and they'll put a little food in there for you, wipe your ass. You know what I mean? But like if you want to be a big dog, you got to go out in the ocean. There's sharks. You know what I mean? But like you just stay safe and stay smart, and eventually you'll be a shark too. So that's our model now. It's like we want sharks. We're going to pay the sharks the most, and we're going to stay smart and try not to get eaten by the bigger sharks.
I love that. I think you're in a beautiful point in the business where you're nimble enough because you're not big.
Yes.
But you obviously have room to grow.
Yeah.
But there, you can avoid the humpback whale because you're still nimble. You can still get out of the way.
Yeah.
Make changes as needed.
But don't get it twisted. These whales, like they didn't get that big by being like lax and chill. Every single one of them I've met or have heard of is a freaking killer.
Yeah.
As soon as you like pluck at one of the minnows, you know what I mean? They're there. And it's not even them. They have like these miniature sharks that are with them, and they just send them out and swarm you and try to attack your village and burn your village down in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? And eat your entire family. You know what I mean? So it's like business is like it's war. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's absolute war.
And you don't want to go to war with a bunch of grunts.
Oh, I want to be calculated. My old business. People used to say, "Don't read 48 Laws of Power. It's going to teach you how to manipulate people." And
You're like, it's bad in jails.
And then you start realizing, like, why are these people not telling me to study this? And it's like, and you're like, wake up. It's like, wait a minute. It's like that Spider-Man shit. It's like, are you manipulating me? You know what I mean? And it's like, you need to study this stuff because everything is manipulation. You know what I mean? Like manipulation is what? It's movement. So it magnifies who you are. If you're a negative individual, you're going to use manipulation negative. It's just going to be magnified as you grow more. But like we all manipulate, you know what I mean? So it's like you can use it positively or you can use it negatively. You have to be studying the shit to figure out like who's doing what and what are their agendas. But like I like to use psychological war of, as us being smaller, I like to appear like, hey, we're small, timid, and everything. Like kind of like you ever see a fighter like fake they're hurt and then just punch you in the face. Like if I gotta go to war, I'm gonna go to war. But with me being small, I'm gonna be calculated. And if we're gonna go, we're gonna go.
So how's the work-life balance, building your empire, like with
we started with that in the beginning. Like for me, it's easy because like it's just one thing. It's just life. My life, I've built it and been able to create it through doing the hard shit I did in the beginning to what it is now, where it's like it's not as hard. What do I have to really do? I'm running calls. I'm a therapist for people basically on telling them it works and here's how to sell insurance, here's how to sell more and negotiating deals. But like other than that, like the work now is communication. Yeah. I don't have to go knock on doors anymore, and I'm willing to. Like I'll sling a policy here and there. Just to show people again, like I told you in the beginning about the delegation, relatability. Like I am not scared. I have the sword in my hand at all times, just so my people know, like, I'm not that fat ass general that just lays in the back, just, eating fruit, you know what I mean? Like just some fat pig. Like I'm on the front lines and I will gladly take a sword to the chest today for you. You know what I mean? Like,
you're not a button pusher.
Yeah, bro.
You got a rifle in your hand.
And I love that shit too. Like I get off on it. You know what I mean? I was fighting last night and some dude punched me in the lip. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I was like, probably like a weirdo. And in the middle of the fight, I'm like, I like it. And
he's like, I don't want to fight this guy anymore.
He was probably like, who the fuck brought Diddy? And no, but like, dude, I love it. You know what I mean? I love, for me, I would much rather love to bleed in fighting because again, it's controlled. I know what's happening. Bleeding in business is scary. You have no idea what the hell's, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to bleed in business, but I love it. You know what I mean?
And I want to talk about it's galley, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know, you have never been, let's call it a lover boy, right? That's never been your MO. And I don't want to bring your soft spot too much to light here, but obviously it's been actually very enjoyable to watch the little tiny bits we get to see on social media about your relationship and growing that as business partners, and you've now referred to her as your future fiance, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
there's an element of commitment and loyalty here. What has it been like to build something alongside of someone that you really love and care about? I know from what you've shared, you guys are just so fucking aligned,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it probably makes it very simple. But then I also imagine that alignment, when there is conflict, exacerbates the conflict further from the standpoint of like, we're always on the same page about everything. So
Yeah.
if we're not on the same page about something, like, I'm not gonna budge.
Yeah.
Are you gonna, you're not gonna budge, because
Yeah.
we're always used to getting our way, because our way is always the same.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, no, I think there's so many good points to hit on that. But I think first and foremost, the alignment that happened so quickly, and the fact that that was, the only reason I even got into the relationship and, chased her down like a psychopath. So, and it was because of the attraction I had to how disciplined she was, just different from every girl, not some nightlife fast girl, reserved to herself, classy and educated, but with a vision, and not the snobby typical pretty girl, but open-minded and business oriented, like truly business oriented. And so we hit it off, and from there it's like, very quickly we had decided, probably after 3-4 months of being together, it's like, let's build a business together. And so you think of it, basically we got married after like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The fact that we started to plan, a business together, and then, probably 3-4 months after that, maybe 8 or 9 months in, I think it was like October of last year, October, November, then we actually, signed like, business contracts together, which, now we're co-founders of a business. So for me, that's even more of a, just with us being so business minded, that's more of a marriage than an actual marriage. Our half of each of our lives are, contractually signed. And so, we had deep interrogation on, what do you want? What do you expect? What do you like this as this grows and everything like that, which probably sounds weird to the audience, that like typical fruity love of, let's go out to date night and talk about, we've been talking about money and business and building and incorporating family and life and kids and faith and all of those other things. But like we knew from the very beginning, because we had all these conversations, in the very beginning. So we knew the alignment was perfect. And now, so like you had said, has there been some arguments? Absolutely. You know what I mean? It's like, sometimes, women need to know that I'm always right. No, I'm just playing. No, I'm just playing, Gally.
I was just like, all right, we're gonna have to cut this.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. No, she's always right. No, but no, in all seriousness, so you're 100% right, bro. Like we're both super stubborn. That's how, we've been able to, luckily having that alignment, it's been great. But yeah, if we don't see eye to eye on something, we'll duke it out. And, we just both kind of realize like, all right, life and business is already stressful. We love mostly everything about one another. There's some shit that, pisses us off, and you just work through it, and you just kind of like realize as an adult, okay, what can be controlled here? What is even getting accomplished? Having an emotional reaction isn't going to do anything. And especially me, like she's helped me, especially like I've only had like 1-2 serious relationships prior to her. And, I never really I just grew up in a tense household of just tense, bro. So I was like, I never knew how to have, with your relationship, just a calm, cool, collected, calculated, business type of conversation. And now for the most part, everything's just here's why this makes sense. Here's the facts. Here's the logic. Here's what I suggest. Here's what I suggest. And we just pretty much meet in the middle. It's not perfect every time, but yeah, I don't see how, we that doesn't work for life, so.
Yeah, you just tell her it's okay to be wrong sometimes.
Yeah, it's okay to be wrong. So
yeah, my wife tells me the same thing. So, oh man, I love it, and I appreciate the willingness to, honestly love boldly, because putting it all out there and telling someone like, yo, this is exactly what I want.
Yeah.
And this is these are my weaknesses. These are my strengths. This is what I need from you, especially only a few months into a relationship.
Yeah.
That's actually a very difficult thing to do. And I could see it's very often looked down upon, I think, especially from the man's perspective. Yeah. To put that, you're supposed to be tough, you're a warrior, you know, you're the protector, you're the gatekeeper of the family, of the missus. And it's not, you don't show your weakness, you don't show, but in reality, especially when you truly see someone as worth building with, not just a business, but a life, a family, and a business altogether. I mean, there is no substitute for honesty. There is no substitute for humility. There is no substitute for putting your ego down and your pride aside and just being like, hey, this is how the chips lie right now in this moment. Can you take me like this or not?
Yeah.
Are you willing to work through this with me or not?
Yeah.
And then that takes an element of letting your guard down and recognizing that your vision, your purpose, your goals are bigger than your comfort and your pride and, you know, the ease of a relationship or a conversation.
Yeah.
I think that was something that even took me and my current wife a long time to get to.
Yeah.
To get to the point where I could just say, hey, I want to be the man all the time. Here's the areas where I'm not, where I need help.
Yeah.
You know, here's the areas where I need you to step up, or here's the things that I can't negotiate on. I can't be happy wife, happy life about this thing. I need this my way. Can we do that or not? Because you will oftentimes see people kick the rock down the road long enough to just honestly make a split more painful, make it, you know, just more difficult than it ever had to be if you're willing to be true to yourself and your values and those things earlier on. And to hear you can both just cut the shit and get to it, it's a very rare thing. I know you've described your relationship and her as rare many times.
Yeah, super rare.
I think it's a great descriptor.
Yeah. There's no other way to live. You know, if you're not being honest with yourself and the people you're building relationships with, it's typically due to a lack of confidence in yourself, and you just aren't doing enough work on you and in the marketplace where you feel like you have this codependency. Like, we don't have a relationship of codependency. I have enough confidence, and we talked about this the other day, like we have enough confidence in ourselves that I was great and I was on a great path before her, and she was on a great path before me. And, you know, just uniting, just, you know, magnifies and multiplies that. But it doesn't, I have no fear, I'm not worried, you know what I mean? Like,
you add to each other's lives.
Exactly, yeah, we just add. So when you have codependency, you know, again, like a lot of manipulative companies, manipulative relationships, they want you to be extremely codependent. I don't want codependent relationships. I want independent relationships, I want a little bit of equity, you know what I mean? Like that, so it's like, that's, completely agree.
I love it, man. Well, as we start to slowly wrap this up, I think someone who has experienced as much as you have, not just in the business world, but also like in the hustling sales side, right? Like your whole first 4 years were the grind, really just embracing the potatoes and, you know, just getting to it every day.
Yeah.
As a viewer who maybe is ready to be a potato and accept that that's their first step, right? You got to be the potato first. What was it that put you ahead of everyone else? Of course, it's the mindset. Bro, some of it's innate, but
yeah, dude, that was it for me. Like, I'm so stubborn, you know. So like, a lot of these guys cap and talk about, you know, I work 20-hour weeks when they did not work 20-hour weeks. You know what I mean? Maybe they made content and made it look like they were working 20-hour weeks. I worked 20-hour weeks. You ask anybody around me for 2 years of relentless door knock dials, recruiting development, it was eat, sleep, breathe, life insurance, you know? And I did that in a physical realm where, like, now life insurance is virtual, where I had to go house to house to do all this and made $300,000 in my first 2 years, which was, you know, a stupid amount of money. And, you know, I would tell the viewer out there that's listening is like, we're all potatoes. Even now, like I find myself entering rooms where I'm just the potato. Like, you know, they're just talking these crazy business terms on, you know, investment bankers and how to have your business audited and prepared for exit and liquidation and all. Just, I love being the potato in the room. So it's not me like flaming people. It's like, if you're not the potato in the room, if you're not the dumbest in the room, the brokest in the room, you're in the wrong room. You know what I mean? Like, depending on like what's your satisfactory level of wealth and success, but like I want to be the I want to be the potato in every room. And so like I would start with that, because I don't want people to think I'm just flaming and making you feel bad for being dumb and, you know, behind. It is, you're dumb, you're behind, and we all are in the rooms that we're deciding to place ourselves in. So it's like, be all right with being that guy, and then just put the pedal to the metal. Go to work, bro. Like there's ChatGPT ain't gonna save you, YouTube ain't gonna save you, the books aren't gonna save you. The work is gonna save you.
Yep.
You know, the work is gonna make a way. Pick up your sword, go to war. Who cares if they laugh? Who cares if they mock, they hate on you? You pick your sword up and you go to war. Just if like this was hundreds of years ago, the men that would rise to the top would be the man that picks up his sword, rides into the village, and I'm murdering everyone. I'm taking the woman of my dreams, and that's it. And so that's symbolic today in you pick up that sword and you make the dials, you knock on the doors, you keep getting back up, and then you're going to attract the woman of your dreams. Hopefully don't steal her from somebody. You might go to jail. And that's life. You know what I mean? But you start as that amateur. You start as that weakling. And you just have to go to war with yourself and with business. And war is not morning routines. It is not a culmination of, you know, your cold tubs and hot tubs and read my book and did 4 hours of no phone time. Like, no, it is 24/7 revenue generating activities. Like, how can I generate revenue and be intentional on this revenue generation for it to convert into, like you said, like a cash flowing asset, something there's ownership and equity, and I can build something impactful.
Enterprise value.
And the enterprise value. But like ultimately just being a good human being and building something worth building. You know what I mean? So that'd be my advice.
And you said that you were a big Greek mythology guy?
Yeah.
Okay, 100%. Who was your guy? Zeus?
So in particular, it was a warrior named Achilles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Dude, I love that. The last bit, honestly, I think perfectly sums up who you are, and it gives a great jumping off point for someone else. I've seen you post it a million times. It's just the reality. It's the work.
Yeah, bro.
At the end of the day, everything else comes out in the wash.
I'd be
Who
lying.
you are, what you accomplish is the work that you're willing to put in, what you're willing to trade for it.
I'd be lying if I tell you, and I think any entrepreneur would tell you as well, is like everyone's praying that there's an actual shortcut out there. You know what I mean? Like there's an actual cheat code. And there is no cheat code. You know what I mean? Like there literally is no cheat code. I think the cheat code is just realizing there isn't a cheat code and stop buying into this online coaching and entry-level sales positions, make your money, and then start building a business. Is it for everybody? No. It's for the 1% of the 1%. You know, 1 out of 1,000 guys should go out there and build their own business. But like, you only got one life to live anyways. Give it a shot. You know what I mean? Give a shot at building something for yourself. But like, there is no shortcut or cheat code coming. You know, like as much as I want people, you know, absorbing and consuming our podcasts and books and YouTubes and all that, it's like, this ain't going to help you make more money. You know what I mean? Like in the grand scheme of things, it's not. You're not going to watch this and your life's going to change. You can watch this, get some inspiration, but if you don't hold on to that and you don't work, you're not going to get any better. You lost an hour of your life.
Yeah.
So
100%.
it is what it is.
I love it, man. Everything else is very fleeting.
Yes.
All that's left at the end of it is just the person that you've become and the work that you've done.
Literally.
So, I love that. Guys, I think that is where we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much, Tristan, for joining us. I am going to put all Tristan's social medias, everything, his podcast as well in the description of this video. If you guys liked the episode, if you enjoyed it, make sure you smash the like button. Leave a comment if you have any questions for myself, John, or Tristan. And of course, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Until next time, we'll see you on the next episode.
Let's go. Peace. Thanks for having me.